At this time, Jay-Z was basically retired. He dissing Hove, and I don't care if your name Hove. I'm straight out of Compton, and I'm a nigga with attitude, and Jay-Z, Memphis Bleak, Beanie Siegel, Rockefeller. He dissing the entire Rockefeller camp and saying G-Unit at the end of it. And so at that point, Jay thinking 50 is behind it, you know, like supporting it. So he was immediately like, we done, like dealing with them, like on any level. Anybody they wanted to work with, you know, Jay be like, nah, we ain't dealing with them. Like, if you deal with G-Unit, you ain't gonna be dealing with The Rock. So certain people that 50 wanted to deal with, they wasn't gonna do business with G-Unit because of this. And it's like, you allowing this guy to come out and diss. Then they had a talk, like 50 could talk to Game, and he's overseas. 50 called overseas, like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you dissing Jay-Z? No, I ain't say that. That was his main thing, because the concert wasn't recorded, like video cameras and nothing like that. He thought nobody gonna know what I did, so I could just say I didn't do that. And that's what he said, and it's not audio and everything else is on YouTube, and everybody in the world can hear it. He's clearly saying F, Jay-Z, and this and that. So he's moving to a whole new beat. So Jimmy's like, we gonna put you on a tour, world tour, and by yourself. Like, you can tour by yourself, so we ain't gotta split the money with 50 on the tour. But 50 don't care what they doing, because 50's doing his business. He's conducting everything he's got going on at that time. He's got all the projects going, he's got movies, he's got the soundtrack. He has no time to focus on dealing with Game. And so when he gets home, basically, or I don't even think he was at home yet, he did a radio interview, and they asked him about Piggyback, the song where 50 Cent is basically destroying Fat Joe, Nas, Jadakiss, and Game gets up there like, man, look, I support them, and this and that, and you know, I'll do a song with those dudes. And to 50, that is just the ultimate level of disrespect. And he's just like, that's it. He's out of jail. I can't deal with this no more. That's the last straw. Like, we wouldn't do songs with people you had beef with, and you didn't even have a record out yet. And now you on the radio talking about you gonna do songs with people who are against us. You gonna go do songs with them. That's it. You out of G-Unit. I'm not gonna deal with him anymore. He's gone. So Game comes home. He just got home, basically. He's hearing all the rumors he's kicked out of G-Unit. So he wanted to find out what's going on. So 50's back at the radio station. And he's explaining it, why Game is not there, and blah, 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 blah. So Game was in New York, because he had just came in there, and him and his guys went there to the studio to go talk to 50 live, find out what's going on. And when they got there, 50 security was at the door. And they were trying to push in, and then they thought one of Game guys had a gun on him. So security gave him a warning shot him right through the leg. Because he wouldn't back up. He kept approaching. So when they shot his buddy in the leg, and everybody ran for cover and ducked back there, his buddy laid on the floor, blood leaking out his leg. And they had to end up putting 50 down, like, come on, let's go. Rushing him out the building. So it looked like Game came in there shooting at 50 Cent. That's where the story was made to it. Man, you should have seen it. Game came in blasting at 50, Joe. It was crazy. So, when you get that kind of buzz, you know, somebody shooting at you, you shooting at them, you know, that's usually how it happens. You know, you get a lot of publicity for something that you really didn't do. And the controversy just exploded from that point on. Because the next day, the very next day, Dr. Dre, Jimmy Iovine, Eminem, I mean, everybody had to get a grasp of the situation because it was getting the attention of the police, like the real police, the government, like somebody was going to get killed. And out of the biggest rap celebrities, they didn't want to have that happen out that label, so they wanted to crush this thing right now before they didn't want another coastal feud. Drayton was afraid, like, man, we just had the Biggie and Pac thing, man. It messed up a lot of money for a long time for people. And Game was supposed to be that bridge. His Game was one of the very few LA artists at the time that could come to New York, be safe, go to Cali, be safe. You know, it was just how it was. So, when all of this, they had the peace treaty, Game came up, 50 Hammer Kiss, this is all pageantry. To show the public, put on a good face for the public, and say everything is fine, so that the hip-hop police will see that, see, we okay, it's not going to be a problem, everything's fine. Now they get back, 50's like, look, he's out. He's not going to be in GM. So Dre was like, come on, man. Like, we just did this press conference, and we just did this. He was like, I just did that so we could, you know, you told me we need to put a good face on this, and that's what I did, but I can't have him in GM. He's got to go. He's out. So Jimmy's mad because, one, he wanted Game to be out anyway, but now he's like, well, if he's out, then we ain't paying him. Like, that's it. We want to part away from G.O.D. completely. So Jimmy's like, if he ain't gonna be involved, then why is he getting a check? This violates his contract if he ain't gonna work with Game. You know, what is he doing for Game? But the way the contract is structured, they gotta pay 50 Cent for his imprint. So anything Game put out, they gonna have to put the G-Unit logo on it. So they had to work around it. And the problem is, Game was still gonna be around, and that's what 50, you know, Dre and Jimmy Iovine was trying to convey over to 50 Cent, is that Game is really Dr. Dre's artist. So Dre makes more money off Game than he does 50 Cent, depending on the success of Game. And they were like, well, Game sold almost just as many records as 50 Cent. Like, we could make Game just as big as 50 Cent. Like, you could do this. So his main focus wasn't really 50 Cent at this point. It's let me work with Game and get Game going and get him to the top, and you know, let's go from there. And they didn't listen. They went back to making mixtapes, sneak dissing 50 when the beef was supposed to have been over. 50 did with his part. He didn't make no songs about Game. Game comes out, start dissing 50. Dissing GM. When Dre told him not to do it. And he was hard-headed. He didn't listen. So Dre was like, I gotta kick you off Aftermath. And he didn't think it was gonna happen, but Dre was like, I can't have you and 50 on Aftermath. We can't. You will still be with Interscope, but you'll be through our other partner company, Giffen Records. And I tried to keep you, but you don't listen. You hard-headed. And that's the truth. He was hard-headed. He didn't want to listen. So what they did was, after that, it's done. We're going to move you. So, second CD come out. He got some production from Dr. Dre. You know, Dre's still on it, but it's mostly Game trying to reach out and do his own work. And then he's telling Busta he gonna apologize, and Busta's helping him out. Like, look, you understand you was wrong, you didn't listen when they tried to tell you something, but okay, Busta came on there and helped him out on a couple of songs. On the song, you know, that he was being honest with, talking about he would take responsibility for the fact of everything that happened. So Busta was nice enough to help him out. Then, you know, he sent out a peace treaty thing to 50 Cent, and he was like, I'm only gonna send this peace treaty once. And after I send the peace treaty, it's only gonna be good for one day. Try to gain roll. Try to get some publicity for that album, Doctor's Advocate. And what happened was the fact that no one cared. And then 50 didn't respond to it, so it was basically done. Then Jimmy Henchman's son has an altercation with Tony Yale. Well, allegedly his son, somebody put his hands on his son, Tony did, allegedly. Slapped his son around or something. And the kid, it was a kid at that. The kid was only 14 years old at the time. You know, it's just